Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. Hope it finds you well out there, enjoying the day as we wait. It is, you know what? It is April Fool's Day. Gold's at a new all-time record high. That is not an April Fool's joke as gold continues to climb here. Wall Street started off rough, has come back here. I don't know. It is conflicting reports as to whether or not we're actually going to hear from the president today about the tariffs that are supposed to start tomorrow. The Washington Post and others are now saying that it looks like 20% will be the tariffs pretty much across the board. They did say that there are several options still on the table among plans. Another plan being considered is a country-to-country approach. Well, that'd be a lot. So, again, I think we're at the same situation that we've been in all along, which is nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. We know there's going to be some kind of tariffs. I don't know what kind. Up to 20%, could be less, could be more, heck, it could be anything. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592, the website at allamericangold.com. And I've been critical of how this process has gone. We want certainty. I know the markets want certainty. Wall Street wants certainty. I think all of us want certainty, and we just don't have it. And my guess is even tomorrow, we probably still won't have it. But this is why, as we continue to watch, gold continuing to do what it's been doing, is because I don't know that yes, we want certainty. That'll help. But I don't know that it matters a whole hell of a lot when we think about, okay, well, what is going to be the ramifications of the tariffs? Take autos for an example. Now, that one's done. At least they say it's done, which is 25% on all cars. Well, all autos being imported into the U.S. We also know that on May 3rd, all parts will get a 25% tariff. There is not a single vehicle that has made with 100% in America with American parts. So I don't know how that's all going to work, but that's coming. Be ready. I think what we're going to see is increased auto prices. I mean, I think that's a pretty easy one. I think that when we look at used car prices, I think that's probably where a lot of people are going to go. I was hearing that some people are out there trying to beat the tariffs on some of these auto purchases, which may push some purchases forward, and then we'll have to see how they shake out after that. Speaking of being slow, tax collections. So we're April 1st, so we're 2 weeks away from the tax deadline, April 15th. Right now, tax collections are down. And I should say filings are down. Now, the news media probably wants to hype this up as a big, look at DOJ is firing, people aren't filing their taxes. It's down 1%. It's not like it's not like filings are down 10, 15, or 20%. They're down 1%. But of what's coming in, revenues are considerably down, and refunds are up. Now, what what the problem right now is that will speed up the timeline. So if this continues, that where we are at in the tax filing season, that, and this is kind of what I expect, we're going to have more refunds. We're also going to end up with less revenue. That's kind of what, we've been watching the economy last year. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. The effect of that, well, what's the effect? Well, right now, as you know, we are on emergency measures. We don't know what the debt is. We just don't know. I can tell you this, it's over $37 trillion. Now that we can't say it, but that's where it's at, and going higher. Is it going to be $38 trillion plus by the time they get a debt ceiling deal done? That will probably be the only question right now. Here's the effect. The Treasury's running out of money. They're down to $280 billion. That was as of last Thursday, $280 billion. The problem of it being so low. So as an example, right now, the Treasury likes to have about $500 billion more than that. So already we know we can add $500 billion to the debt. But the emergency measures, the Treasury now looks like it's going to run out of money several months sooner than expected due to the low revenue from taxes. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Tuesday. A quick look in here right now. The Dow's up 75. The S&P's up 23. The Nasdaq's up 130. Again, we aren't hearing anything other than rumors about what the tariffs may look like. The rumor this morning, much higher than expected, which was 20%. It was like, okay, when it first got 20% across the board on everybody. That has since been, well, we don't know. Right? They're still talking, so we're going to have to wait and see. The 10-year note dropping. We got weak economic data today. I'll share that with you here in a minute. 416. Crude oil still higher now, about $72 now. Again, I think the worry there is Donald Trump going to start sanctioning Russia if he can't get the Ukraine war to end. And there's been talk about that. Zelensky now drawing the fire of the president, refusing to sign that minerals deal and all that stuff. So we'll keep that out there as well. Right now, gold's up 10, 31, 35. Silver's been doing this weird thing all week so far. Really started last week. Closes right around right at like $34. Then it sells off all night, all morning, all day, and then closes right at $34. Well, right now it's down 14 cents at $33.92. You remember yesterday it was down in this range yesterday, and then closed right above $34. But silver standing pat right now. Get diversified, be more diversified, be prepared, be smart. You got big IRAs out there. Take part of that, put it in a precious metals IRA. We can help you do it. Put it in a gold and silver IRA. If you have money sitting in your bank account, so look at the 10-year note down to 416, right? You're barely getting any interest. At some point, they are going to have to start cutting rates and bring back quantitative easing. They're going to have to. I mean, the news out of the Treasury, this is a big deal. When we talk about the debt ceiling, these emergency measures, I mean, right now, money's pouring into the Treasury. I mean, April, really, it's the best month. March and April are the best months for revenue. Well, maybe not March because a lot of people are getting their refunds, but people are paying their taxes. People are paying their taxes, and what the Treasury is telling us is, well, we're on pretty much the same pace, right? Filings are down a whopping 1%, so it's not like it's down a lot. But so far, this isn't going well, right? The revenue isn't there. More people have qualified for refunds, and we're going to be short, which means they were hoping that they could get to August or even September. They're saying May. My guess is June. We're going to run out of money in June. So we're going to have to get something done on the debt ceiling months ahead of time, and this is well ahead of, remember, they wanted to do the big deal, raise the debt ceiling, cut taxes, do all that. Doesn't look like that's going to line up. But again, just looking at the balance on the Treasury, I'm going to say that when the debt ceiling rolls around, we're going to be a lot closer to 38 trillion, maybe above 38 trillion. So adding 4 trillion doesn't get us very far, which is unfortunate. Today, though, why is the 10-year note down today? We got the JOLTS number. So remember, it's jobs week. So we got JOLTS. JOLTS is job postings or job openings. It fell more than expected, but there was still 7.5 million job openings. That's down about 250,000 jobs. It's down almost 1 million jobs from last year. So think about last year's JOLTS number. We were talking about a number near 9 million. And in the 8 million and change range. So a big difference year over year, but still, I wouldn't call this horrible, right? I think we'd have to go below 7 million. But when we looked at it, one of the things that was interesting was the federal government job openings were still positive. Still positives when we think about, hey, Doge and the cuts. Now, it wasn't a lot, but it was the one thing of interest. You would almost think there wouldn't be any job openings at the federal government right now. But having said that, that's about 500,000 jobs more than the number of people that the Bureau of Labor Statistics say are unemployed. So, right, 7.5 million jobs, 7 million unemployed. By the way, that's down almost 1 million. So there used to be a lot more jobs out there. I think that, to me, that sounds about right. When we get worried on this number is going to be, hey, when there's not enough jobs for the people that aren't. So if 500,000, let's just say 250,000 people lose their jobs and 250,000 less jobs gets posted for next month, then you start to worry, right? So right now, still okay, but not great. And like I said, weaker than they expected. They expected more jobs to be posted than what were actually posted. So Wall Street kind of likes that news. Anything that says job cuts or rate cuts, right, they're on board for. And then we had the manufacturing data. This was the one that kind of sucked. It was 49.8. So remember, anything below 50 in this number. I don't know why they do this crazy stuff. Why can't we just use zero? right? And then no, okay, a negative means bad, positive means good. They don't want you to know, right? 49.8. I don't know, is that good? No. So they were expecting it to increase, and then the worst part was the prices in this. So going through this, new orders down 3.4, production down 2.4, employment down 2.9, supplier deliveries down a point, inventories up 3.5. Now, I'm hoping that was just their beating the tariffs. Let's hope that was why. Otherwise, that's not a good sign, right? That means that they're not moving it. Customer inventories. Now, this one up 1.5, so that's not good either. Now, again, we will say that the customer inventories is still negative. It's just less negative. Prices, this is where the bad part came, +7. That was one of the highest paid pricing going back to June 2022. So this was a really bad number. That was something where very unexpected. Yes, we expect prices to rise. The problem was this is before the tariff. So now could we have seen some places raising prices in anticipation of the tariffs? I guess. But if this is what we're going to expect, that's a lot worse. A lot worse. Back orders, even more negative, and that's not good. So in other words, they're like, hey, it's not like we've got orders that we're waiting to produce. What the manufacturers are saying is, hey, we don't have back orders, right? Where you order it, we start making it the second you order it. So all in all, this was a very tough report. Not only because it was negative, but then on top of it, the prices that were being paid way higher than what was anticipated. And like I said, this was a February number, so this data's a little old. But not even the Mexico-Canada tariffs were in yet. Now, they were going to come, but it's something that I think a lot of people were hoping that they wouldn't have seen such a big jump. I think inflation is definitely on the rise, so watch out. I think we're going to see, and again, why is gold going higher? This is why. Why having money in your bank account such a terrible idea? They want to lower rates, at the same time, higher prices. And I heard some Fed member, the tough-talking Fed guy, well, we're just not going to raise them, or we're not going to lower them for a while. No one's even mentioning rate hikes. Why can't do it? I'll tell you why they can't do it. Remember yesterday, we talked about BlackRock and Larry Fink, right? He was talking about protectionism, right? The new word. Well, he was out with his letter, his annual letter, so that it's not like he does a lot of these. Some of them do it, every month. Larry Fink, annual. And here's what he wrote. I hear it from nearly every client, nearly every leader, nearly every person I talk to. What is he hearing? And remember, BlackRock, they're huge, right? I mean, when you talk about who owns more stock than any company in the world, BlackRock's right up there. They're more nervous about the economy than any time in recent memory. Now, what is recent memory? Is that the financial crisis? No, that's the part we don't know. I don't know. I mean, is he talking, well, then any time like last week, last year? But the flavor is he's saying, listen, everyone I talk to, every leader, every person, every client, they're all saying the exact same thing. There is a vast array of potential tariffs on the table with widely varying implications. Well, I don't know. The implications are pretty simple, right? You're forcing two things. Yes, things are going to cost more. That's a given. Will that move enough production back to the United States? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. There's going to be plenty of big announcements. And what I mean by that is anyone who announces anything, they're going to, say, blow it up to be a big deal. We'll see. The problem is that just means, hey, whatever we're going to charge, it's costing more, right? Because why wasn't it being produced here to begin with? Think about it. Why would, John Deere, Ford, GM, you name it. Why would these companies produce it somewhere else to ship it here? There's only one reason, because it was cheaper. Yeah, we'll be back after the 800-951-0592. Again, as we wait for tomorrow, I know I was anticipating that we were going to hear today. Maybe we will. Maybe it'll be after the markets. But no news yet about the tariffs that are coming tomorrow. We may find out together what is going to come down. General Motors just reported car sales were up in the United States compared to the first quarter of last year. Of course, this comes ahead of the tariffs, so good. I think that's good news for GM. We'll see again how much of that was tariff related. We don't know. But here's the other problem. So think about what we talked about so far just today. Tax collection down. So the IRS is saying filings are only down about 1%. So it's not the filings. They're saying, hey, the data so far compared to what we've been seeing, we're going to be light, which means we're going to run out of emergency money, the emergency measures as early as May. My guess is going to be June, right? We're going to be out of money in June. At the same time, Wolf Richter, who does a great job, he's a great researcher. I just love what he does. He came out today and let everybody know, as we've been talking about, all of these central banks, they have choices of what debt they want to hold. They can hold it in anything they really want, right? U.S. debt, European debt, their own country's debt. Heck, some of them allow them to, have any kind of debt, right? Insurance, commercial real estate, who knows? All the laws are different everywhere. But they have choices. Of course, as you know, everyone knows, they've been choosing gold a lot. But we need the world to hold dollars. So look at Moody's. So Moody's is getting ready to downgrade. Moody's is going to join the other two, and the United States will not be AAA by any of the rating agencies here very soon. But the issue now with the amount of debt that we have to issue on top of, okay, wait a minute, revenue's coming in. What do you think the revenue's going to look like next year? Right? I mean, the economy, like I said, wasn't great, but we're, 2.5%, 3% GDP. Now we're down to 0.5%. We'll see what the tariff revenue is. But according to Wolf Richter, from the end of 2023 to the end of 2024, when you add it all up, U.S. dollar holdings fell another $59 billion and now stands at only 57.8 of total allocated exchange reserves, the lowest level since 1994. You got to remember, 1994, you didn't have the euro yet, right? So France, we got French money, German money, Spanish money, this money, that, right? Because Europe had to hold a bunch of each other's stuff. They don't have to do that anymore. I mean, when you think about it, we had higher levels of, go back to like the 70s. It was at 85%. It's at 57.9. And according to Richter now, it is the 10th straight year in a row that central banks continue to diversify away from dollars. And he says it right in there, and into gold. Jason, this has been a major theme as we look at all of this. And now the problem's going to be, now we need to even sell even more debt than ever before. Every year, we're going to break a record for debt issuance, and with no end in sight. I don't even know. I can't even say, well, every year for the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I mean, I don't know when that would end. And all of these, listen, is it a stampede? Are they breaking down the doors? No, they're not dumb. They're like, well, we got to do it a little bit at a time. The question, Jason, is at what point do we have a debt crisis? And I think this is kind of what everybody's worried about. It's one thing for Japan to have a debt crisis. It's one thing for France or Germany or whoever, Greece, Cyprus. But a debt problem here in the United States, that's a major problem.
Wasn't the mortgage-backed security home crash, housing crash, wasn't that a debt crisis? People leveraged too heavily into an investment that they were borrowed into, and it just came crashing down. And I remember when Obama took office, every year you were talking GDP earlier, 2.5%, 3%. And the big recovery was, well, it's a positive GDP. Every year it was like 1%. Every quarter is 1% or 1.5%. Even less than 1%. But it's not crashing, right, Joe? And it makes me wonder. Here we are in a time of higher inflation. Is that 2.5 GDP really a 2.5 GDP, or is that an inflated GDP? Are we still suffering from the '08 housing crash? And if we have even worse debt crisis, and even worse debt crisis coming, we're turning over. What is it? 60% of that stuff's being turned over. In the next 2 years? That's going to be a tremendous strain, Joe. And if we have the kind of crash we had in '08, '09, debt crisis is almost kind of saying it nicely. There's going to be a panic. There's going to be a debt panic, isn't there, Joe? It's going to be blood in the streets. It'll be so bad because I mentioned this to Joe this morning. I mentioned on the air yesterday that half of consumer spending is by the top 10% earners in this country. When they stop spending, GDP comes crashing down, and those people aren't going to be loaded up with debt, right, Joe? Those guys aren't loading up with debt. They'll be hunkering down and paying off debt. And those that are swimming in debt, Joe, those are the ones that when I was a process server, I'd come knocking on the door. Hey, sorry, we're raiding your bank account because we're going to raid. You're going to put a lien on your paychecks, on your bank accounts, on your homes because you can't pay, right, Joe? Not a good time to be in debt.
By the way, Ford reporting negative first quarter sales. So, all right, so GM good, Ford not so good, I guess. I don't know. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. $20 gold, $32.55. $10 liberties, $16.75, and $5 liberties, $8.55 at 800-951-0592. Volume discount supply. So if you want to do a big order, call us. We'll take care of you. And literally any amount. A guy in there yesterday, hey, I want to do a couple $1 million. Great. He goes, you can handle it? I go, absolutely, no problem. Call me. Let me know. We can get it done for you. No orders too big, no orders too small. 800-951-0592. I don't mean to laugh. More than 50% of parents with children older than 18. Okay, that means they're not a child, first of all, right? I mean, come on. But, oh, no, right? I guess they're a child now. They're 26. Are providing them with at least some form of financial support. Now, I got it, okay? 18, 19, 20, 21, okay? Maybe 20, 22, right? If they went to college. But we're talking about 18 to 40 in this number. 40. Okay, that's not a child. I mean, 18, I guess maybe let's say a child still. But, I mean, come on. They say the parents provide regular financial assistance to their grown offspring. Well, now they're grown at least. The average support, ready for this? $1,474 a month.
Yeah.
A month. By the way, that's 6% higher than last year. So there's your inflation. There's your real inflation, right? They've been saying 2.8. No, it's 6. That's probably right. 83% of supporting parents contribute to their kids' grocery bills. 83%.
Yep.
65% cell phones. Now, I don't know, heck, my mom and my two boys are on our cell phone plan because it's not cheaper either way, right? I mean, I don't know about the cell phone thing. Now, unless they're paying a whole separate bill, I don't know. Nearly half pay for vacations. I don't know if does that count? If you're doing a family vacation. Now, I want to know, wait a minute. For them to go on vacation, or is like this a family vacation? Right? Because I can tell you right now, like Joey, my only, he's 25. I don't pay for any of his crap. None of it. My monthly financial support is zero. And I'm damn sure not going to pay for him to go on vacation. Right? No way. By the way, my youngest is graduating. I've already told him. Yeah, the clock is ticking, brother. Right? You got 6 months from graduation, and then, right? My job's done. More than 3/4 of supportive parents attach conditions to their financial assistance, while the rest just give money without conditions. I wonder what they meant by conditions. Because they kind of want to, they're going to pay me back. Now, that's what, okay, you got to come over to the house once a week or once a month and give mom a kiss and a hug. I mean, Jason, I wonder what kind of conditions these are.
Well, in Japan and in China, some Asian nations and in other parts of the world, there's multi-generational homes. That's just the way they live. America, after World War II, was given this nice position of the world reserve currency, and even in the 1970s, you could work McDonald's and pay all your bills. And all people really understand in the 1970s, it wasn't Spanish-speaking illegals working at McDonald's, and it wasn't teenagers It was full-grown adults, people. They were working it like it was a real restaurant. And here we are in 2025. That's all gone. And so I talked about, Joe, that top 10% are paying for 50% of all the stuff in this country, right? Well, what about like 11% to 25%, the upper middle class, the ones that are doing really good, but they're not that elite category, Joe? That's what you're talking about. You're talking about those people that, hey, I was able to, the tail end of where you can still get a pension, right? And you got your Social Security, and you had some savings, and you put some in the stock market, or you bought gold and silver, right? And you've got it, and you're nearing your golden years, and but you weren't able to somehow get your kids to know how to do the same. So you're paying $1,400 a month to support Jimmy, and another $1,400 a month to support Julie. And you're bringing in, let's just say you're getting in retirement years, you got $7,000 coming in. Now you only got $4,000 to pay for your own stuff. You got $3,000 going out the door. And this is where it's headed. I mean, for the poor, you just move in. You have grandpa, you have the kids, and then you have the grandkids, and they're all working. They're working the McDonald's job. The kids are working the McDonald's job. You have the parents working 2 jobs. You have the grandparents bringing in their Social Security to make that household run. So you're more than doing 15. You're getting some support. But what Joe's talking about is these kids are working and they still need another $1,500. They can't make it work. And this is just so they can have the kids out of the house. That's what it sounds like, Joe.
Right. Okay. Now listen.
Bribery money.
I know some parents that are doing this. They're paying a hell of a lot more than $1,500 to have their kids out of the house.
It's a little cheaper to move them in, man. It's a little cheaper to move them in. I think we'll be seeing that going on.
Yeah, that's one of the conditions. Yeah, you can live with us. How's that? Yeah, we'll be back. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Tuesday. I guess we're going to have to wait. I don't know if the announcement will come later this afternoon or if they're going to wait till tomorrow for the tariffs. And then remember, we get the ADP jobs number tomorrow. My guess is this is going to be a low number. I know that's what people are hoping for anyway. And then Thursday, jobless claims, which haven't done anything, by the way. I will say this, for all the alleged firing that we've been doing, it just hasn't been showing up in the jobless claims data. And then on Friday, we're going to get the government jobs number. And again, they're also anticipating that to be a low number. So things are kind of setting up here very nicely. Gold above 3,100, right around 31. Well, right now, it's actually just gone negative here right now. So gold was up about $10. Now it's down a couple of dollars. Wall Street going also back into negative territory here. I think, Jason, everyone's going to have to wait for tomorrow, I guess, to decide what's going to be happening with these tariffs. Kind of interesting that you would think these details would have, you would have thought these details would have been out a month ago, at least 2 weeks ago, so people could prepare or have certainty. But this is how it's played out with the Trump administration. They wait. They throw a lot of stuff out there, don't give a lot of detail, and then at the last minute, you find out what it is.
Yeah, gold was up $20 last night. I thought when I woke up this morning we'd be looking at $31.50. That sure feels the pressure. The pressure is pushing, and we'll see what happens by Friday. It just seems like we're looking at 3,200 gold this weekend. We'll see if it cools off, and Friday's a down day, and it kind of decides to rest here. But we get an update Friday, Joe, and we'll see what happens. Of course, Wednesday, Thursday, we could have 3,200 going into Friday or into Monday morning. So
the only thing I can think today is their hope, because I know gold was rolling when the Washington Post came out with 20%. But then they came out, well, we're still deciding. We're not going to now know till tomorrow. So maybe they're anticipating that as we're not going to get a lot of tariffs. I don't think so. I think we are, but we'll have to wait and see. And then, of course, it's going to be about jobs. Tariffs and jobs are going to be the word of the day. We'll start to get, and I mean start, a little more clarity coming tomorrow, I think, anyway. And then, of course, the job situation, that clarity as well. This is going to be a big week. We want to see the jobs holding in there. I guess that's what we want to see. If these numbers come in really low, that'll be a problem. I don't think they will. I think they'll hold it. There won't be big numbers, but, Jason, I think they'll hold in there.
We'll see for sure. And, I guess we're going to see. We'll have to see if people are just going to wait for tomorrow and then make decisions tomorrow. I mean, my guess is there's some people out there that probably already know what's going to happen tomorrow, and they've already placed their placed their positions, right, Joe? Maybe that's what the last couple of weeks has been all about.
Maybe.
Look at gold. Look at gold.
Right? We're going to have to wait and see. I don't know. Now I'm a little disappointed. I really thought we were going to know this stuff today. All right. Well, we'll wait for it. We'll wait another day. Hey, Jason and I, we're coming right back with the half-empty cup. Stay with